They are both really weird, and I feel like nobody else will ever understand each other as much as they do because they're both at the same level of weird.
I'm Caitlin Riley, and welcome back to the Wednesday Season 2 official WOCast. I am over the moon to welcome the one, the only Emma Myers, aka Enid Sinclair. The amazing, incomparable Gwendolyn Christie is back as Professor Weems. And Al Goff and Miles Miller are here to take us behind the scenes of episode 6, including how they pulled off the big body swap. Thing, aren't we supposed to have music playing? Thanks, buddy. I am over the moon to welcome our next guest, a rainbow of light herself, Enid Sinclair. It's Emma Myers.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
We are seeing Enid in a different light this season. She's fully wolfed out. You know, she spent the summer with her wolf pack. Mm-hmm. How do you think she's changed from the last school year to this school year?
I think Enid is still herself, but I think she's grown up a lot, especially wolfing out, I feel like was a big deal for her. Mm-hmm. And then getting to be a part of the community that she's always wanted to be a part of is life-changing for her. She hangs out with the pack now. You know, she's got a new boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And although she's not insecure as much as she used to be, I feel like there's still an insecure aspect to her about, okay, now I do fit in with the pack. Now I kind of have to keep that up and make sure that I'm perfect and I, stay in there. So I feel like although she's grown up and changed and matured a lot, I feel like she's still her little scared self. Yeah.
Just didn't expect my relationship with Bruno to heat up so quickly. I mean, we literally skipped right past the talking phase. I just don't know how to break things up with Ajax.
A quick blow to the head should suffice.
I don't want to hurt his feelings. It's not his fault we grew apart over the summer.
Didn't Davina borrow your swimsuit top?
Oh my god, maybe she did. Thank you, Wednesday.
She was with Ajax last season. Yeah. Now we have Bruno in the mix. So how do you think Enid's feeling about this love triangle that she's finding herself in?
She's in a sort of sticky situation because, you kind of can't help how you feel.
Of course.
And you kind of can't help, that you change your mind and, you've grown up and, so that influences your decisions. And I think she still cares for Ajax. And that's why I think she does the things that she does because she doesn't want to hurt his feelings. But in turn, doing what she does kind of does hurt his feelings. Also, I think Bruno excites her because he's a part of the life that she always wanted to have. He's part of the wolf pack.
And he's gorgeous.
And he's gorgeous. Can't forget that.
Can't forget that.
No. And yeah, so she finds herself in this kind of, I guess, perfect life that she wanted. But I think she's still very confused about a lot. I think it's kind of hard to know what you want until you're in that situation, and it's hard to know what you don't want until you kind of have it.
You never gave me a heads up. I wish we could have just talked about it before you moved on without me.
I'm really sorry. I just didn't expect things with Bruno to heat up so fast.
You remember that day in Uriah's Heap? I guess squirrels and rats can't work out after all.
Why do you think that Enid chooses Bruno over Ajax? Like, do you realize that you've broken Ajax's heart?
I know.
He's
and it's
beside
awful.
himself. He's trying really hard to be nice to you.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of awful. It's awful in the fact that she didn't let him know before she started seeing Bruno.
But a girl can do what she wants.
A girl can do what she wants, but tell somebody, if you're moved on,
Yeah.
tell the person.
Yeah, I guess that's the right thing to do.
She always feels like Ajax was in love with the girl that she was before, and she rejects that. She doesn't want to be that girl anymore. She goes with her gut on that and chooses Bruno, but it's not for a lack of, like, having feelings for Ajax.
Maybe she'll change her mind down the line.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe she's a little flip-flopper.
Right?
Who knows?
Can't blame her.
I'm not sure how I feel about Ajax anymore. He's sweet and cute, but he's still in love with the old me, and I've changed. Hey, look at that. Exactly 25 words.
Just talk to him and get it over with.
Yeah, well, if I do that, then it'll be like an arrow through his... Ah! Holy crap!
I wanted to touch on her dynamic with Wednesday. It's changed a lot. I mean, I feel like there's some tension, there's some distance. What do you think is going on there?
I think it comes down to the fact that they don't really want to understand each other. Even though they do.
Right.
They think they do. But they're both really stubborn. They are both very stubborn people. And I think they're both just really weird.
I mean,
They're both really weird. And I feel like nobody else will ever understand each other as much as they do because they're both at the same level of weird. Even though Enid claims that Wednesday's more weird than her, I think Enid's just as weird.
I think Enid's pretty weird.
And at the end of the day, it kind of takes things getting a little shaken up in order for them to fully reconcile and have everything out there.
The sooner I get answers, the sooner I can save Enid,
Wednesday!
who I currently want to murder.
Didn't you see the scrunchie on the door? That's kind of universal roomie code for do not disturb.
You know I'm not above using a nail gun.
How long have you been here?
Somewhere between. And I'm definitely scarred.
Let's go.
Stay out of my room, you little creep.
I wanted to talk about Agnes. She's a huge addition to this season. What was it like working with Evie and watching her bring that character to life? I mean, she's such an incredible addition. It's like a little Powerpuff Girls trio.
Evie is probably one of the most talented young actors that I've ever worked with. She's so good and she's so professional and she really just understands everything. Like, she gets it. And even Jenna and I were talking about this when she was cast. Like, she's like, oh, she's been there this whole time, It doesn't even feel like she's new. She's such a cool person. I love her to death. She's also very funny and very sweet and very different from her character.
How so?
Well, she's got such a pleasant demeanor and is so kind and so soft-spoken. And even though Agnes is just a little creepy and a little bit weird, But she's such a delight to work with. I felt like our scenes together were so cool because she was giving it her all. She really such a good character.
Yeah. How do you think having Agnes in the dynamic changes things?
It definitely starts the kind of tension between Enid and Wednesday because Enid feels replaced, And she's always been insecure about not fitting in and not getting to keep her friends. And I think when Agnes comes in and Wednesday's really fine with her tagging along, I think that really hurts Enid a lot because all she wants is Wednesday's attention, and it kind of shakes things up a little bit. But I think that it's what they needed because at the end, their dynamic as the trio is so good. And I think they're all what each other needs. And she's a good addition, even though in the beginning it was rocky.
I mean, who wants Enid's attention? Ajax.
It's true. But doesn't everybody want Enid's attention?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, Noah Tyler, too.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it like sort of creating that dynamic with him? Little romance
so good.
moments.
is so charming, and he plays it really well on screen. And even though he told me like, I'm nervous for this scene. I'm so nervous. You cannot tell at all.
Not at all.
He comes across so confident, so like sure of himself.
I mean, having little romance moments in front of a room of 20 people with cameras
it's quite
kind of
awkward.
scary.
It's scary and it's awkward. And I remember our first kiss scene we had wasn't on the schedule that day, but we had to call for weather cover. And so they switched up the schedule really fast on us because we couldn't shoot outside. And so they were like, well, you guys got to do your scene now. And I felt awful because sometimes it's nerve-wracking, especially being thrown into it really fast when you weren't prepared. But Tim was really funny about it. Tim was like, yeah, you guys you kiss for a little bit, but I won't watch. It's fine. I'll just give you a few seconds, and then I'll say stop.
Like he's on the on-set dad.
I don't think Tim really likes to watch those scenes, to be honest.
Well, of course not.
Yeah. He always goes through them really fast.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Enid, hey. I was just talking to my mom in the Philippines.
You and your mother are awfully close. Miss na kita. Miss ko na yung pagpasyal natin sa beach. Miss ko na lalo yung matamis na mga labi mo. Or was that really your girlfriend back home who you failed to mention in an act of time-honored misogynistic deception?
How do you know Tagalog?
I picked it up when I was 8 from Datu, my Filipino fencing instructor. He also taught me how to castrate with a bolo knife.
Episode 6 is the swapping bodies episode, which, excuse me, is my favorite episode. You guys swap bodies, full Freaky Friday. I want to talk about that for a second. What was it like filming that?
What happened was we would get each other's sides and we would film each other doing us like as normal. She would be reading Wednesday Trapped in Enid's body.
I see.
And then she would send me that video. I did the same with her. We had a few rehearsals together to like map out our scenes that we have together. So the scene where we wake up in the dorm and we're in each other's bodies, the scene where we're walking down the stairs in the quad, and then our scene in the graveyard where the swap happens and then we kind of go back to normal.
Right.
That was the extent of like our physical rehearsals together. Most of it was just videos sent to one another.
Oh, wow. So what the one was not on set for the other?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that would have made things kind of complicated.
It would have been complicated because we were also doing like 3 units at the time, and so everybody's kind of everywhere.
Right.
But it was very helpful when we both had a scene together because we were watching each other in the scene, and then when we would cut, we'd say, "Hey, you could actually probably do this," and it would maybe make. So
you're
it feel
kind
more...
of directing each other in a way that feels like safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hate doing that because I don't like critiquing people's performances.
Right. But you almost kind of have to.
You kind of have to. And Jenna was so good about it too. She was like, seriously, if there is anything that I am not doing right, like tell me and I'll fix it. And so we both kind of swapped notes like that in our scenes, which was really good. The problem is when you don't have each other on set,
you're kind of out for pasture.
Lost.
Yeah.
And so we'd kind of just rewatch our videos. But also we would pull up, our director, Angela, for that block, pulled up season 1 on her laptop. And so we would sit there and watch like the way that Jenna walks across a big room, or like the way that she kind of holds her head, or how she turns her body. So we tried to be very specific when we didn't have each other on set, because that's when I feel like it got the hardest.
Right.
You know?
What are we gonna do? We tell absolutely no one. This must remain our secret. And you need to stay away from Bruno. And you must avoid my family at all costs, especially my mother.
We got this, right? I mean, how hard is it to act like Wednesday Addams?
I also noticed that you didn't blink.
No.
You mastered it, girl. Really hard to do. You didn't blink as Wednesday.
I have a trick for it, though, because...
What's the trick?
Well, my first few days of shooting it, it was miserable. They had to cut around it because I literally could not keep my eyes open. We were outside, and it was windy, and my eyes were watering, and it was miserable. And so Jenna was telling me, hey, blink when it's not your line, and they'll cut around you because they'll probably cut to me. Well, I found out that when I have my contacts in, I can
Makes
keep
it
my eyes
harder.
open for like minutes on end
Oh,
because you don't feel any air on
right.
your eyes. So all I had to do was then put my contacts in and I could keep my eyes open the entire scene and wouldn't have an issue. I don't know how she does it without contacts because she doesn't wear any.
I mean, I asked her about it, and I think there's just some otherworldly thing happening
I
in
just
that
think
girl's
she's
body
really
that allows her to
talented
do
and
it.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
I know. That was the first thing I noticed, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's not
I
playing
was
it.
trying so hard.
You did it, girl.
But like when
you
you're
did it.
staring for that long with your eyes open, your vision gets really blurry. So half the time I would be talking to somebody and then it would go cross-eyed and I couldn't see what was happening.
Of course.
So you just try and do all your action without being able to see.
It would be remiss if I didn't touch on Lady Gaga.
Gaga.
Lady Gaga, coming in as Rosalind Rotwood. I mean,
My goodness.
what was it like seeing her embody that character on set? Hello?
Well, fun fact, I actually did not film my scene with her. She did all of her coverage on a green screen because they just kind of animated her face onto the statue, I guess.
Okay, so then what have you heard?
So I saw her footage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was really good. So I had to go based off of that, off of her footage. But I met her and she's wonderful.
I'm sure.
She's lovely,
the best.
so sweet, so chill and down to earth.
What does she smell like? We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
It's fine. Just
It's
tell
a
me in
secret.
secret.
It's
Tell
a
me in
secret.
secret.
It's a secret.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Emma.
Oh, thank
Enid
you.
Sinclair herself. It was so lovely to talk to
It was
you.
lovely being here. Thank you for having me.
Why am I staring at me?
Because we've somehow swapped bodies.
I don't understand. We were at the graveyard, and now we're here, and now it's morning. How the hell did that happen?
You broke the Raven's gaze. Now it's playing a dirty trick.
How do we swap back?
You always think you're the smartest person in the room. I'll let you figure that one out.
There is so much more to come. I will be rejoined by co-creators and co-showrunners Alan Miles. But first, we love a comeback, right? I am so excited to have with me the OG Nevermore principal herself, Larissa Weems, Miss Gwendolyn Christie. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for having
You look
me.
gorgeous as ever.
Thank you. Right back at you.
Oh my gosh, Gwendolyn. Stop. Now, the last time we saw Principal Weems, she was brutally murdered by Marilyn Thornhill.
That is correct.
And now she's back in season 2, which is a fantastic shock.
Apparently so.
So when did you find out you were doing season 2?
Well, Miles and Al spoke to me before we finished shooting season 1, but at the end of season 1.
Okay.
And it had been one of those rare things where there's the scent of electricity in the air.
Right.
I just really sort of fell in love with everybody there. It's such an incredible cast and great writing, and Tim's such a magical director that the whole experience was very exciting for me and very unlike anything I'd quite done before or any part I'd played before. So I was very warmed by that idea. Initially, the attraction had been that it was only one season because I wanted to do a range of other things.
Right.
And, having worked for a long time doing series, I just wanted to move around and do a range of different things and play different parts. But I became intoxicated by the role and by the brilliant people I was working with. So they mentioned it, and then, the sort of much longed for thing occurred, which was that the show was a hit. And I was so delighted for everybody because they worked so hard through often difficult circumstances. And then it came up that they would like Weems to come back. The tantalizing prospect of tormenting you from beyond the grave was just too delicious to pass up. Now, you've certainly been a busy bee. Just to recap, you lost your psychic ability.
Only after I mastered it.
You lied to your one and only friend Enid Sinclair about her impending doom.
I was protecting her.
And the coup de grace, freeing Tyler Galpin, a homicidal Hyde, from a high-security psychiatric institution.
Well, I wanted to talk about the dynamic between Wednesday and Weems. Obviously, they couldn't be more different, but there's a connection happening. There's a camaraderie taking place. I wanted to talk about that, talk about what it was like working with Jenna through that and what you found and what you discovered.
It's a funny thing, isn't it? I suppose it's chemistry.
Chemistry.
But it's a rare thing.
Which is hard to find.
It is a rare thing, though. It's a rare thing. And it comes along and it's undeniable.
Yeah.
And it's effortless. And I was so impressed by Jenna the first time I worked with her. So impressed by her focus. But it's also delight to work with her in the scenes because she brings all of herself to them. She brings all of her focus, all of her seriousness about the part, about the role, about the script, about the scenario, about the day. And it's a great relief, actually, to be able to just enter that space with another actor and have absolutely no issue whatsoever about pushing each other's buttons. Mm-hmm. Because fundamentally, you respect each other.
Right.
And you care about
and you feel
each
safe.
other. You have great love.
Yeah.
And when you have that, it means that you can really move it about many different places. I mean, it's not great to be, in season 1, to be so angry and threatening towards such a young woman. But Jenna gives life to the circumstance, and that allows me to take great pleasure in taking it where it needs to go, because it's just fun. It's just enjoyable.
Your ability is inextricably tied to who you are. You abused it.
You sound like my mother.
Sticks and stones. Except I have no bones.
I'm done being lectured.
Then wake up.
Now, Weems is watching something crazy happen, which is her job being taken over by somebody else. So Weems is seeing Principal Dort be the new principal. She's having to witness this. How do you think she feels about it? And what was it like working with Steve Buscemi? Steve, a dear friend of the pod.
I bet. I've loved Steve Buscemi for a very long time. I'm a huge fan of a film he did called Trees Lounge.
My favorite Steve Buscemi movie is Ghost World. Have you seen Ghost World?
Of course.
It's incredible.
Of course.
Yes.
He's such a sensational actor, and he's been so inspiring through the years. He really is able to tread a line between reality and humor. Mm-hmm. He's a really extraordinary person. He really is. And just such a great and very particular performer. There's no one else quite like him. When I read the script, I could see that there was a huge amount of humor in Weems having her job taken away and of being humiliated. But I didn't really see it that way. I don't think anybody that has died and is fortunate enough to come back to life would find it in any way entertaining, having their memory belittled and being treated cruelly.
Right.
And
naturally.
So it was quite easy to play the reality of that. Because also, for me, there is a certain amount of the actor's care in there, of genuinely hugely caring about this project and actually really not wanting to be replaced. And so there was a great similarity there between Weems and I, of the deep pain of being rejected. And I remember the scene we did with Steve and Jenna the first time I see Dort. As an actor, it's much more exciting to see what you uncover on the day. But in no way had I planned any sort of particular emotion for that scene. But I cried because Weems did, because I realized how much it mattered to her. Wow. And how if you give even part of your life over to something and put everything in it to make it as good as it possibly can be, the way Weems has done with Nevermore, the institution that she grew up in and she lived in and then came to be in charge of and try to implement changes and do the very best whilst actually sort of almost psychotically behaving in whatever way is necessary to get the outcome that she wants. Mm-hmm. There's a surprising emotionality that comes along with that. And I think also Weems is sort of disgusted by how gauche and what a charlatan Dort is.
Gwendolyn, it was so lovely to speak with you today. You had amazing things to say, and I'm so glad that we're going to lunch this week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lunch is on you.
Oh, okay. Lunch is on me. Principal Weems, Gwendolyn Christie.
Thank you.
One more question. How do you plan on honoring the late Principal Weems tonight?
Honor? I've spent months trying to expunge that woman's memory from every student and every donor's mind. She lingers like the smell of rancid brie.
After everything I've done to burnish this school's reputation.
There's your honest assessment.
Dang, jeez. That was so loud, dude. You can't get good staff these days anywhere. Sorry. I know it was a mistake. I am delighted to be joined once again by co-creators, co-showrunners, and executive producers Al Goff and Miles Miller. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you.
Now, the big body swap episode, which was so fun to see. Where did the idea come from to do this?
It's actually an idea that came late in the game.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was, we had come back after the writer's strike. And
which was interrupted the sort of writer's room.
The writer's
room.
We
came back, we'd had most of the season broken.
Right.
But, you know, when you get to step away from something and then really think about it, you know, we kind of rearranged a little bit of the season and we had an episode that we needed to fill. And we wanted to do something that really showcased Enid and Wednesday and really kind of talked about their friendship. And that's where the idea for the body swap came, you know, because there's such, I mean, they're both fantastic actresses, but they have such specific characters that it felt like watching the other play them would be
It's just like,
great.
it's the delicious Freaky Friday element. I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a, I mean, to see them play each other, we just thought that would be amazing and that people would be ready for that in terms of like, they are so iconic in terms of their personalities. It just felt like, oh, that would be a great, and it was a challenge in terms of getting the method of how they'd swap to feel believable in this world. They don't really do magic in the show.
We have to go back.
There will be a price to pay.
So what was it like to see Emma and Jenna switch spots? Did you see them do any preparation? Were they working on this together?
They did a lot of preparation.
They did. They worked, the director of that episode was Angela Robinson, and she worked a lot with both of them. So they did a lot of preparation and really, you know, really studied each other. And there were moments on set, I mean, especially with Jenna, where it's like, if you closed my eyes, it sounded like Emma. You know, it did. There was a couple things I was just like, oh my, is that Emma? And it was
well, what I
amazing.
first thought is they were dubbing each other.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I know. They did an amazing job.
Yeah, and they'd
they
watch
really
each other's
did.
takes and they'd correct each other. Oh, I wouldn't do that. I would do this. So it was very, I mean, nothing accidental in terms of performances. It was just incredibly meticulous, and they really like had each other's backs in terms of protecting their own characters as well as helping each other. It was it was a really special episode.
You don't know anything about me. You're just a sycophantic loser that I use from time to time when it's convenient. But we're not friends. I don't even like you. In fact, I wish you would just stay invisible. Forever!
Agnes is such a fan favorite already. I mean, she comes in, saves the day. She's such a huge part of this season. Where did this idea for this character come from?
Well, I mean, the idea of Agnes, we had this situation at the end of the season 1 where we had a stalker, and we didn't actually know who the stalker was going to be until we got into the writer's room for season 2. And we loved the idea of, because we saw it with the show, that there are younger girls became obsessed with Wednesday.
Right.
So we thought, what if there's a young girl at Nevermore who, after the events of season 1, the Crackstone situation, just idolized Wednesday to a Wednesday extent. Like, she's insane.
She's deranged.
She's deranged.
Love her. We love a deranged girlie.
Yes. So that was the sort of inspiration. And then that she's fiendishly smart, and the idea that she's invisible, which comes into play in this episode where it's the emotional invisibility, that she's a character who has never been seen, has sort of doesn't feel that she's respected or given the credit or agency that she deserves. And so this was about the idea that this rivalry between Enid and Agnes comes to the boil, and Enid as Wednesday really like rails her, and it's the emotional heart of this episode is actually Agnes's sort of feeling like worthless and going to some of our parts of therapy with Thing, and really like it's the most heartbreaking moment of the season, which is really you get to understand who Agnes is and why she is who she is.
Yeah.
I thought at Nevermore I would finally be seen and have real friends. But the truth is, I feel more invisible than ever.
We want you to know that we all see you, Agnes. Make yourself at home.
What was it like seeing Evie bring Agnes to life?
It was amazing. I mean, to watch Evie do it, and she has incredible eyes.
Yes.
You know, it's just like those eyes. And she has this look where it's like she's sweet, but clearly deranged.
Yeah.
You know, so I think, you know, she just brought something to it. And it, you know, because the concern with that kind of character when she's sort of a Wednesday file is that it's going to feel like Wednesday Light. And she doesn't. She has a completely different energy.
And there's also, I mean, the red hair was a big deal. So when we see the three of them together, you sort of got iconically Wednesday, and then you have redhead Agnes, then you have Enid with the blonde sort of rainbow look. So it's just like they feel very distinct. But it was definitely like Colleen Atwood, who's the costume designer, really working on that look to make her feel distinct from everybody else. And now the audition process, we saw, you know, a huge number of people, and we were very conscious of finding someone who was young, who wasn't like a 23-year-old playing 12, that she was a young teenager who felt younger than either
Wednesday or Enid.
Yeah.
So that there was that sort of looking up at them.
Admit it. You're a little impressed.
I can't believe we were almost perforated by your fangirl mini-me. Why don't I return the favor?
Park your claws, Rainbow Barbie. Besides, I got you some alone time with a pack hottie. You're welcome.
You almost burned my novel at the Founders Pyre.
Oh, that was just an appetizer. This was the main course.
So by the end of this episode, Wednesday has saved Enid, but her vision has changed. Now an Addams will die. How did you arrive at the twist, and what path will this new revelation put Wednesday on?
We came to the twist because we wanted to frankly change it up. We didn't want to think, oh, the whole season is just going to be this.
Right.
And it really puts the focus firmly back on the family.
Right.
Yeah, it felt like that we always knew where the season was going to end. So it felt like through the season you want to, that was the point where you to twist it and start directing us towards the end.
Well, thank you so much, Alan Miles. Thank you for coming to my house. This was
we
the
love
longest.
what you've done with the place.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Delightful.
This is where I hold all of my auditions. So I'll be hearing from you.
Great.
Thanks so
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
We've still got 2 more episodes to go, with the absolute superstar guests, including Evie Templeton, everyone's new fave, who plays Wednesday's creepy but lovable stalker, Agnes DeMille.
I love the obsessive nature of the character, and that was something that I could really take on board with Agnes.
And I will be joined by the one and only Steve Buscemi, playing the despicable Principal Dort.
Been such a fan of the Addams Family since I was a kid, and now here I am, acting with the whole family.
And hold on to your hats. Costume genius Colleen Atwood is here to discuss all of the looks from the school gala. Iconic.
The costume lit itself, which
Wow.
sometimes you have to do in this world.
Yeah, that's what's coming up on the next episode of the Wednesday Season 2 official WOCast. I'm Caitlin Riley. Until next time, my little storm clouds.